Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Overfilled the podcast with your three favorite opto besties. I'm Brooke Messer. I'm an optometrist in West Fargo, North Dakota. I have Jason Jedlicka and Jamie Kuzner joining us, and it's great to see you all. And it's funny how I just introduced myself like I'm joining an educational webinar team from West Fargo, North Dakota. Jason, you're in Indiana and Jamie's in Michigan. But anyway, thanks again for joining us, where we talk about all things overfilled. And when we say overfilled, we mean the things that overfill our lives, both professionally and personally. And we alluded that to when you fill a scleral lens with that saline, you educate our patients to overfill it. So in this case, it means two things. Today, we're going to talk about, again, what's overfilled us since the last time we were together. And then we're going to jump into something that we would like to call problems and solutions. We're going to jump into all things solutions. Yeah. So let's kick us off. Jamie, what's overfilling?
Did you use AI to write that title?
I am good with titles, man. Like, I got this.
That was unscripted. It was so good, though. Well, sure. I'll start out with my overfilled. So, as you heard, all of us live in the Midwest, and we are all freezing right now. So, of course, what did I do for my team for team bonding was I did dining in an igloo. And I have some cool pictures of that if Jason wants to pop those up. So, I did a belated like holiday party for my staff, just because, if you know, in healthcare, December is crazy busy. So I booked this igloo like weeks and weeks ago. And of course, it's one of the coldest weeks of the year. But that was my little team and their spouses all kind of together in a little igloo where we did a nice little dining experience. It was like in a small town north of our practice. And I even had my student with me as well. And then, of course, driving home, it was, like a whiteout blizzard. So it was very great bossing right there, putting everybody in danger coming back home. But I don't know, try to think outside the box to do some more team bonding things for the office. And I do like to include their family as well a few times a year, just because we like to get together and, they spend more time with us sometimes than their own spouses. So it's nice to get to know people at home too.
Was it pretty warm in there?
Yeah, so they had 3 heaters going. I was a little nervous. I called ahead of time because it's like in the negatives. But yeah, it was about like 70-ish.
Cool.
And they would only open and close the doors to like bring us food. And our server was hilarious. She was so funny. But yeah, it was a super good time.
So how about you, Jason?
Well, I'm overfilled with snow right now. As you know, we're getting dumped on today. So I don't know when you're watching this, but you can tell when we were recording it was when we had the big snowstorm of the decade or whatever. So I spent a good 3 hours today shoveling, and I've got a lot more to do tomorrow. So I'm overfilled with sore muscles from snow shoveling.
Yeah. I just had a good overfill. Oh, I'm overfilled with hope. That's what I'm overfilled with.
Okay.
Our residency applications close this coming week, or almost. And on January 31st is the last day for our residency applications. And it's just another fun time of year where like you get excited, you start to meet your applicants. You have the interviews coming in, and I just love how our team at the office like really just like wraps in the resident interviewer or the interviewees. And so we put like a cool sign up front when they come in, welcoming them to the clinic. We order in some fun lunches and things like that. And so I'm really hopeful that we have, a couple candidates that we're excited about. And so I hope that their visits just go great because that'll all happen within the next couple weeks. And our team is, getting ready for all of that. And we put a lot into it. And so I'm really excited about that stuff. And that's on my mind for tomorrow morning is, starting to get kind of making sure we're checking all the boxes to get all of that ready.
That's so exciting. How many do you normally interview, like 2 or 3 or 4, or does it just depend?
We're a young residency site, so sometimes we're a little quieter on the applicants. And so I always shoot for 5, and I'll interview anybody. I'll bring people on site if they have passing board scores, and a good GPA with good letters of recommendation. I'm not at a point yet where I would turn away someone who has those things. We just don't get enough because we're still so young. Where if we got to a point where we were accepting 8 to 10 or more applications, we'd probably filter it down to maybe 5 or 6. But right now it's like if they have a couple good letters of recommendation, their grades are good, and they've passed their board so far, then we'll definitely bring them in and get a chance to show off our clinic, and then let them show off to us. Because it's interesting. Last year, I kind of had it in my mind on who I thought we would rank in what order, and then you meet them in person and you just feel their energy and everything changes. So it's fun, and I've learned a lot through the interview process on just being open, and things just seem to happen how they're supposed to happen. Even if you maybe didn't get who you thought your first choice was, or you didn't match, like the first year we didn't match, and then we ended up getting this amazing resident through the second match. So anyway, there's my Overfilled, and got lots to look forward to in the coming weeks.
Awesome. All right. Well, our topic tonight, as Brooke brilliantly alluded to before, problems and solutions. So there was a thread going on Facebook today about solutions, and we thought that would be a good topic. So when we talk about solutions for sclerals, we talk about cleaning, disinfecting, storage, but then also filling solutions. So we've got a lot of solutions for our patients to deal with, and it can get confusing for sure, right? We've all had people do it wrong. And but let's start with not the filling, but let's talk about cleaning, storage, disinfecting stuff. There's lots of options for our patients. And so do you guys have a standard protocol? Do you individualize it? How do you decide, first of all, what products we're gonna have most of our patients use to begin with? Or is it all over the board?
I can take this one first. I think, some of the hardcore individuals out there would be like hydrogen peroxide or bust. Like our patients only get hydrogen peroxide. And I would say that I'm maybe not quite there. I try and keep it simple for patients. And so we typically start with a multi-purpose. And because it's easy to get, at least in our pharmacies, we usually do Boston Simplus. But again, you could substitute any multi-purpose there, of course. And the reason I do it is because it's easy to use. And if it happens to have a little bit on the lens, I'm not concerned about them giving themselves a chemical reaction or chemical burn in that way. And it's easy for us to get samples and things like that. So we keep it simple starting off the bat. And in their first care kit that they get a sample of multi-purpose from us. And then I kind of wait and see if their ocular surface proves to me that it's not working. Then we would switch to something like hydrogen peroxide, as part of their care regimen during the finalization of their fitting process.
So let's talk about, for a second, multi-purpose solutions, you said. So are you talking about GP solutions? You're talking about soft solutions? We're talking about what kind of multi-purpose?
Yeah, I would be doing a GP multi-purpose solution is what I would be using.
Okay.
Although a patient recently came in with a soft lens solution, which we can certainly talk about. I think there's times when that works for our GP lens wearing patients. How about you, Jamie? What do you guys do?
I am kind of similar to you, a little different because I actually stock solutions and sell them in my office. During COVID was a weird time for my patients, and a lot of them could not get their supplies. So I've honestly always just bought in bulk, and I always have them at my office. I have them for cheaper than Amazon and everything. I more so have it as a convenience, because then that way they'll know, like, if something weird happens, their store's out of stock, whatever, I always have it at Elevate, and they can always drive over and get it. Plus, when they leave, when they first learn their sclerals, I'm kind of like, here you go. You're going to clean with this. You're going to rinse with this. Like, everything is here, and they have it instead of like a sheet of paper, and then I don't really know what to end up buying at home. So I more so do it as a convenience. It's not like a huge moneymaker for me.
Yeah.
But I start out with multi-purpose just because, like you said, it is easier. I do tend towards unique pH because it's a little thinner. I feel like it's a little bit easier for patients to rinse off. It does strip off the black dots. So if I have anybody that needs to know where their black dots are, multifocal, quad, HOA, then I will go more towards like Boston Simplus. clear care can get tricky just because the case size, and then if they have to buy the pros case size, they have to use a lot of solution. So it just kind of adds a layer of complexity there. So it really depends. I kind of tailor it based on the patient.
So let me ask you guys, to someone who maybe someone's listening and they don't know some of this stuff. So let's talk about what are the pros of a multi-purpose solution? What are the advantages of going that route?
So a multi-purpose solution, in my opinion, it's not going to burn when it stings in your eye. So if you happen to have it on the lens, like typically we rinse it off before it goes in the eye. But if you happen to not rinse it off, it's not going to sting your eye. It would come off with blinking and things like that. But again, if it gets in your eye, it's not gonna burn. The other thing that's nice about multi-purpose solutions, especially for patients that are on the go, is that typically there's a 4 to 6 hour disinfection window, some are 4, some are 6, when you're doing your overnight soak. And however, if you happen to need to wake up at 3:45 in the morning to catch a flight at 5 a.m., like sometimes we do here in Fargo, you can take it out of the case before the full disinfection happens. Like with hydrogen peroxide, they need that 6 hour disinfection cycle. And it's harder to do it like before that's totally complete, because then you don't know for sure that all that solution's been neutralized. So you have to take like extra caution to make sure all the hydrogen peroxide is gone. And of course, being on the spot, I'm blinking, but Boston Simplest is a 4 hour cycle, right? Or is it 6?
I don't know.
I think it's 4. I'd have to look it up, but
I think it is 4. I'm not 100% positive, but
look
I think
at
it's
us,
4.
all these scleral fitters.
I also, the other thing too, though, I think about is if I have a new patient that is starting sclerals, they are constantly dropping those lenses. Like they have to like attempt. And if they have hydrogen peroxide only, then it's kind of like they're in a spot where like they don't know what to do. And they've asked me before, well, what happens if I drop it on the floor? Like, how do I clean it? And if they only have hydrogen peroxide, that's why I always just start them on a multi-purpose. It's just easier for them to like do a quick, like, clean at least something. I don't know how much, it's not killing everything, but I just find that easier for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think what the advantage of peroxide is what? It's going to disinfect better, right? It's going to come out of the case in a state where you don't have to rinse it. You could just theoretically fill it, put it on. So for the patient who maybe is not very good at maybe remembering to rinse their lens before they put it in, who maybe is taking it out of their multi-purpose solution and filling it without a rinse, and they're getting issues that way. So again, I think the advantage of peroxide is disinfection, and that the lens doesn't necessarily need to be rinsed. It can go straight in. Now, the other thing too, of course, and we should talk about this is, so let's talk about peroxide. And if you have a lens that has been in peroxide for 3 hours only, do you need to let it sit 6? I mean, it's a GP, it's not soaking in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just rinse it.
Give it a scaling rinse, pop it in anyway. Yeah. Now, and I think most of the disinfection that occurs from peroxide happens in the first 30 minutes anyway. So I do think that that if a patient's in peroxide, they can be told that after, a few hours, probably if they had to put their lens in, they could take it out of the case, open it up, rinse it thoroughly, and then they could still put it in, even though it hadn't been 6 hours. Just make sure you're not getting the solution out of the case on your hands or in the lens when you go to put it in. So disadvantages of peroxide then would be the opposite. I mean, there's nothing about peroxide and theoretically that is going to clean the lens, right? I mean, you're going to have to rub it still with something. What are you going to rub it with? You're going to rub it with water, peroxide. What are you going to rub it with when you rub the lens? Or are peroxide users not rubbing it?
I feel like they never rub their lenses. They
So,
just put it right.
for your patients,
you know what I mean?
For their scleral lenses, are they rubbing it?
Yeah, and then the surface, they don't get those like kind of like breaking down some of those mild deposits that could lead to biofilms.
So I see there's some issues with peroxide, and the other part negative of peroxide too is there's really no wetting agents in it, really. I mean, or you can argue with hydroglide. We have that discussion, right?
No, but hydroglide, man, I have had so many patients have allergies to hydroglide. It is actually unreal, like documented red as heck eyes. And then as soon as I question them and grill them, and they're like, no, Dr. K, I swear, I'm using the same thing. And it's hydroglide. And they just run their lens through a triple action. Redness is gone.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Well, here's what's crazy
it's constantly a problem for me.
What does everybody complain about with scleral lenses? What's been the latest thing on social media the last couple weeks about scleral lenses? I hear people complaining constantly about anterior surface non-wetting. I mean, this is it goes on forever. It seems like it goes in cycles and people complain about it. Maybe because it's winter now and it's dry, people complaining more. But what do we need for a lens to not for a lens to wet properly on the anterior surface? It needs to be conditioned well, and it needs to be cleaned well. Has nothing to do with disinfection. The reality is peroxide does nothing. It's actually the worst possible solution for anterior surface wettability, and yet it seems like people go to that all the time as their default for cleaning because they think somehow it's better, when in the reality is if you want that front surface to wet well, you need to clean it physically by rubbing it at some point, either after you take it out or before you put it in. And then you should also be rubbing it with conditioning solution prior to filling it and applying it if you want the GP material to wet. So I think it's kind of funny that peroxide, as great as it is at a disinfection, and trust me, when I wore monthly soft lenses, I use peroxide only. I would love it. I love peroxide, but in the realm of scleral lenses, it's questionable if it's really the best approach for our patients for care and handling. I don't know.
I have a question. Is there data out there on the level of disinfection, or in a pro's case, they just bust off the disinfection disc from a clear care case and put it in the pro's case? I like the pro's case because I know that my patients aren't going to clip the edges of their sclerals when they close them up. But is there data on is it as good? You would think it is.
It should be the same.
Longer it should be. But is there formal data out there?
I would think it would be better, right? Because there's more saline in the case. So it's going to be, the lens is going to be exposed to unneutralized peroxide for a longer period of time. And that has always been an issue with peroxide, is if you actually looked at it, and I'm making this up, but going off of memory, but I seem to recall something like, within the first 6 minutes or something, a lot of that peroxide is already neutralized.
Yeah.
And it's below the threshold of disinfection already within just a matter of minutes. And the residual 6 hours is really not for disinfection. It's just for neutralizing that peroxide to a level that's safe to put in your eye. Most of the disinfection happens right away.
Full 3%. For full disinfection in office protocol is a 3-hour soak and straight hydrogen peroxide.
Exactly. So then the reality is the pro's case probably does a better job because you're putting twice as much peroxide in that case or something. So it's probably giving you twice as long exposure to a level of peroxide, which is, effective. So it's probably better, honestly. But it, again, it probably takes longer to neutralize too, though. And so there you have to get into that situation of maybe do you have to rinse your lens a little bit more thoroughly before you apply it. I don't know.
Can we go back to the conditioning part of things and just, I want to talk about a recent patient experience that I had mentioned to you guys previously. So gentleman doing great in lenses, comes back for a 6-month check, and he has noted that his eyes feel drier, a little redder, just low grade symptoms. Overall, I'm doing good, but for some reason my eyes don't feel as well as they used to. Took the lenses off, did a little, he had some mild diffuse staining. And we talked about his use of this case, it was multi-purpose solution, but could maybe switch it out for conditioning. So he would, basically what we got to was he wasn't fully getting all of it off the lens. So he was just filling it up, more than likely left some multi-purpose in the bowl of the lens as he filled it with his preservative-free saline, and he's probably trapping some of that junk back there. And one, it certainly could be just like the exotoxin aspect of the disinfection, because he's taking it right out of the case versus like fresh multi-purpose solution. But and then, we talked about it and he's like, that's totally it. I used to be so good at rinsing both sides of my lenses. He's like, that makes all the sense in the world. And of course, haven't heard from him, since then. So I said, call me back if it doesn't feel better. Now, if we want to condition the lens before it goes in the eye to maintain maximum wettability, are we just like carefully conditioning the front of the lens, or what would be optimum in your mind? Jason, you felt pretty passionate about that. Like how would we maximize this in a perfect world?
Okay, so if I was a scleral lens wearer, and I'm not, but I've worn them, right? And if I wore them every day, I would probably use a multi-purpose solution to soak them in. And when it came time for me to take it out, I would take it out of the case and I would put it in my hand and I would rub it vigorously for at least 30 seconds with conditioner on it. And then I would take my vial of saline and I would add saline to the bowl, and I would rub the inside of the bowl with the saline with my finger again, trying to rub or clean the inside of the bowl with the saline, dump that out, and then I would just do a quick rinse, fill it, and put it in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of impossible, but my goal would be is to try to get conditioner off the inside of the lens while keeping it on the outside of the lens.
A little bit, yep.
That's tricky, but again, the other trick, of course, is put conditioner on your applicator prior to putting the lens on your applicator.
Yeah.
Because that keeps a buffer of conditioner between the rubber of your applicator and the front surface of your lens, so that rubber isn't affecting the binding of the conditioner to the plastic, which I think it absolutely can. I think there's no question that especially if you have a applicator where the end is not cut off, and you're using a suctioned applicator without conditioning solution on it. I mean, what are you doing to the front surface wettability of that lens when you take a dry rubber applicator and suction it to the surface and then squeeze it to release it? You're pulling all the conditioning agent off the front surface of the lens. So, again, I think...
What if you filled the hole with the conditioning solution?
So that's what I mean. That's what I would do. Well, but
then it's like they're not cleaning it all the way. Like, I don't know. You have to look at the other side of the coin. Like, you don't want to fill it up completely, because then that's going to get disgusting in there. I don't know. I tell people, like, it's just kind of like if you've ever done like a workshop at an office with like a new trial lens set, you have to like condition the heck out of the front of the lens. Yes. And I'm like, I'm talking like 30 seconds, not like more than like you need to rub the lens and it wets beautifully. So I'm always like, rub the front. I have a lot of patients though, just like you, Brooke, where they are not rinsing the lens out. They're like scooping it up out of the case and just putting like saline in there. And it's just like the conditioner is mixed with it, and they have a huge issue. I had a patient that was like putting it in the same dirty solution for months, which sounds like so dumb. When I said it out loud to her, and she's like, wow, this sounds very dumb that I've been doing this. But like her eye was like red hot because of that too. I've had people just using their saline in general, like, oh, I'm soaking it and filling it with the non-preserved saline. Well, it's like, well, you're not actually cleaning anything. It's kind of like using water, to wash your hands.
Patients don't have problems sooner. They get by, and I'm like, what?
Your eyes are so
when it's like, something's not right here. Let's talk about your care solutions. And then, and then they're like, oh, and so like, oh, I ran out of that little white bottle that you gave me.
So then I just used this other one.
So how often do you guys go over care and handling with your patients? Do you do that?
Every year.
Every patient every year at their exam? Do you go through tell me how you're taking care of your lenses? Or if
I started doing that,
happy, coming in, no issues, doing great, do you not worry about it?
This is what I say, and I don't do it like accusatory. I'm like in the chart, I'm like, oh, Marcia, can you just remind me again, what are you using to clean your lenses, and what are you using to fill your lenses? And I'm like typing it in the chart, just so it's kind of like conversational. And then that way, if they say something that's, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, like, what was that again?
Right.
I'm like,
that will happen, right?
I've had patients I've seen for 8 years that I have only fit their sclerals and they've gone nowhere else. And all of a sudden they'll say, oh no, you told me to use this product. And I'm like, I guarantee you, I did not tell you that.
Yeah.
So like somewhere along the way, something happened. And sometimes it can happen years later. So I don't know. That's what I do just at the annual exam. I just act like it's like, oh, I need to put it in my chart.
I pretty much ask like nowadays, I pretty much ask always like their filling solution, almost always. And then, I kind of get into how they do it sort of as it calls for it. So I maybe could ask for that a bit more, but I'm usually pretty good about, and we do the same thing. We don't stock cleaning solutions, but we do stock filling solutions. So I'm usually pretty good about knowing what they're wearing because many people do get it from us like you.
Well, you probably would, if you saw like someone walk in with cruddy lenses, you probably would ask them out.
Oh, or
yeah, 100%.
If they're,
I take a picture of it. I take a picture of it and show it to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I'm taking a picture of everybody's lenses because they'll say like, oh, these lenses aren't comfortable anymore. And I'm like, oh, well, look at all this makeup on here. And they're like, oh, well, maybe it's that and not the lens you designed. You know what I mean? And then it just kind of brings it like, wow, it is important that I am cleaning these lenses.
Yeah. So. Brooke, before you mentioned about a patient using multi-purpose solution and probably not rinsing it off well, would that be a good case to move that patient from a more viscous GP multi-purpose solution to a soft multi-purpose solution where it'd be less likely for that stuff to hang around the lens when they go to put it in?
I think it depends on the patient and their ability to rub their lenses. We are all familiar with, or you hear about patients who have like men with large hands have a harder time like getting in and cleaning the inside of their bowl, or maybe patients with less dexterity. In this case, it was a matter of just re-education. He was like, "Oh, I got it," rather than being like, "Okay, now I'm going to give you this new picture of this new solution, or here's a new sample." But I do think that if there's a case like that, I think it's fine to soak in a soft lens solution as long as it's soaked for the right amount of time. They're still getting that disinfection process, and it's not going to hurt the GP aspect of the lens. Again, it just goes back. I think a soft lens disinfection solution is going to be more wettable than clear care would be. And so if it does help them get their solution off a little bit easier, I'm not totally against it.
Yeah, I've got some patients who do use soft multi-purpose and do well with them too. One thing you mentioned too about the guys with the big fat fingers and having a hard time cleaning the back. Do you guys ever see a patient come in for their annual checkup and they've been in their lens for a year or two and they've got this kind of whitish scuzzy film on the back side of their lens? We've all seen this. Yeah. What do you do about that?
Progent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have them do anything different with their care?
If it is somebody that I would expect to have problems, again, like big fingers or, maybe we would consider a different type of solution, but over time though, it could just be biofilm. I don't know that it's necessarily solution driven unless you're going to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, no, I'm just, there's always times when it seems like it's either a steep base curve, a deep sag, or someone with fat fingers or nails where they're not getting down in there. And I just tell them to take a Q-tip like once a week or once a month. And when they do their rubbing step, use the Q-tip to rub the inside of their lens to try to get that stuff off. Because usually if we do that in the office, so like I'll see the patient come in with that white film on the back and we'll take their lens out and I'll take a Q-tip with just some daily cleaner like Boston Advanced Cleaner and rub the inside of their lens, rinse it good. And it's gone. And, I wouldn't want to do that every day. Might be a little bit harsh to the lens to use, a Q-tip every day to clean, but it's easier to get into the back of that lens because it's obviously much more discreet and it's got just enough subtle abrasiveness probably to scrub the inside. So that's just another little pearl for people who have a hard time cleaning the inside of their lens. Again, I usually tell them only do it like every week or every couple weeks, something like that. Just because I think more often than that, it's probably not so good. And I don't think we're going to get to filling solutions today.
It's going to be part 2. We're going to have problems and solutions part 2.
Jason's like, what if we run out of things to say? I'm like, do we ever have we ever run out of things to say about a single topic? Never.
I thought that it might be a little dry, but it was actually not.
Okay, yeah, it was very wet. So
Very wettable.
very wettable. A very wettable
I don't know.
All right,
That's a weird sound. That's a weird sound bite.
So let's wrap this up. Let's wrap up the cleaning solutions talk and try to summarize what we just kind of talked about in a nutshell. As far as your general patient, your preference, you said multi-purpose to start. When you switch them out of that, when they show sensitivity to product, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. Or just, since product sensitivity would be a good one. Or they're just not comfortable after everything else seems okay. It's just
or sometimes if they already like pretty good at contacts and they've been using, clear care for their soft lenses, if they were in soft lenses for sclerals and they already have it at home and everything, I'm like, just keep it simple.
Yeah. And I do have some patients who do prefer peroxide for their disinfection, and I'll just often throw a soft multi-purpose solution at them for the rub step. So you know what, if you want to rub them when you take them out, rub them with the soft multi-purpose before you throw it in the peroxide, maybe something like that. Are we using two-step cleaning and conditioning products anymore? Much?
I'm not.
Rare.
I'm not. Just in case I am using HydroPeg, and I just want my staff to be able to give a consistent answer, so they're not like, oh, you can use this Boston, but then wait, let me double check your invoice if you have this, and just keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think most people, we've moved away from the two-step. There are people that have been doing this for a long time and are comfortable with it, and we stick with it. But I'm not really putting any new fits into the two-step process. It would have to take a situation where there's really, really serious issues with buildup. Yeah.
So I think the best way to get a new diagnostic lens to wet is to mix the two-steppers together.
What?
Yes. You put the red
drop the Simplus and a couple drops of unique pH together?
No. The Boston Red Cap.
Oh.
Boston Red Cap, two-step cleaner, and the conditioning agent. Those things, like 10, 15 seconds, you have wettable diagnostic lenses.
Yeah.
But you're talking about together at the same time, or
so I put Boston conditioning, Boston Red Cap in my hand at the same time, and that's how I'm like when I'm, for example, like in my fitting set.
Yeah.
Center of the kit wets perfectly, but still sometimes you grab like the very edges, the shallowest and the deepest, and sometimes they still don't wet very well.
Right.
Or like, you get a new addition to the fit set but you want to use it. So I always have Red Cap in my office for that purpose.
Yeah, because the diagnostic lenses are not going to be HydroPeg coated, so they're safe to clean them with whatever.
Yep, and it works.
I'm going to try that.
It's a little bit better than conditioner alone, in my opinion.
Awesome, love it.
Boom, Pearl.
Well,
idea.
Hey, I get to add something. Normally, Jason's like, no.
No, I love it. No, that's awesome. So this was part one of problems and solutions. Next time we'll do part two, which will focus on filling solutions. So if that's more of what you're interested in, tune back in for that one. In the meantime, this would be, if you guys have interesting cases or stories or patient cases of a patient where there was a solution issue with cleaning. If you have other pearls, like Brooks mixed the Red Cap and the conditioner when you clean it, Pearl, if you have something that you do in your practice that you think this works great, I think, let's hear about it. Let's have you contact us, get us through Facebook, or of course, Instagram is probably the easiest way to send a message to us of a case. Record yourself talking about it. Say, hey, hi, Overfilled. I had a patient who had whatever solution issue, and this is what we did, and this really made a difference. That would be sweet. Send that video. We'll play it on air. You'll be famous. But really, seriously, send us your cases, please. We're begging you.
Yeah.
Send us something interesting that happened to you with a patient in clinic, with solutions or anything, for goodness sake. Just send us something. So
I just have so many crazy things. We can just talk about my cases.
I know
forever.
Talking about our stuff,
but I don't want to just talk about my own people.
Yeah. Now I know who that mysterious Dr. K is that sends in all those weird questions.
Right. I didn't know all along. It was Jamie.
My burner account.
Right. If you're old fashioned, you want to email, you can send your video or just your question to Gmail, overfilledthepodcast@gmail. If you're more on the ball like Jamie and Brooke, you can Instagram it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, listening.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Enjoy the cold and the snow. We'll see you next time.